he bypassed the passing on of sin. Adam and Eve sinned, and they contaminated us. They contaminated every human being. Our spirit, souls, and bodies have been contaminated. And sin brought death, and it brings only separation from the body and the soul, but sin brings separation from God. So God, therefore, bypasses this generational curse of sin that's passed on from person to person, and we have the virgin birth. Isaiah chapter 7:14, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign, behold, I will call his name Emmanuel, God with us. That prophecy again goes on. You can, really, the conclusion of the prophecy is in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 and 7, where we really get an understanding of who that child is. For unto us the child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, and upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. I preached on that passage 2 years ago. I think we did four messages off of that one passage. It is just filled with incredible truth. It's amazing. So let me share. So again, we think of the virgin birth, again, God's way of bypassing sin, but there's another reason for the virgin birth. Anybody here know what that reason is? Virgin birth. Very important reason. In the genealogy of Jesus, the genealogy of Yeshua, okay, there is a curse on a king named Jeconiah. Now, the Messiah was to come from Abraham, he was to come from Isaac, he was to come from Jacob, and he was going to come through Judah. And then one of Judah's descendants would be King David. And Messiah would be a descendant of David. So in his humanity, he was going to carry with him the DNA of David. The DNA of all the patriarchs that we just mentioned. So something happens, and again, this is the curse of Jeconiah, who was also called Coniah. Okay, and in fact, it's basically Coniah would be a shorter version of Jeconiah. And he's one of the kings and one of the descendants of David. He was a king of Israel. He was evil. And God curses him through the prophet Jeremiah. I'll read it to you in a second. And his lineage, it is said in the prophecy, that none of your descendants will ever sit upon your throne. So there's a problem there. Let me read this to you, because I believe when this is being spoken by Jeremiah to Jeconiah, Coniah, I think the demons are celebrating. So Jeremiah 22, verse 28 through 30, is this man Coniah a despised broken idol, a vessel in which is no pleasure? Why are they cast out, he and his descendants, and cast into a land which they do not know? He was going to be taken off to Babylon. O earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, write this man down as childless, a man who shall not prosper in his days, for none of his descendants shall prosper sitting on the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah. Now, if you look at that, in fact, you know what? If you go on the internet, you will find Orthodox Jews arguing that Jesus could not possibly be the Messiah because of this curse. So you have a major. I'll have you look at this for a second. The curse, again, of Jeconiah, the Messiah is to come from Abraham, again, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, through David. Okay, Solomon's line comes through Jeconiah. And the curse here in Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 29 through 30 is Jeconiah and his descendants are cursed. None will sit upon the throne. So the last king of David's line to sit on the throne. How did God bypass that? How did God put a twist on that? Again, if you look, I'll give you another. You see the entire lineage right from Abraham to David, Solomon to Jeconiah, sometimes again Jeconiah, Conaniah, all the way to Jesus. We have a problem. Is Jesus the Messiah? How did God overcome that? Where's the twist? Does anybody know?
to Joseph.
It's right there too. And I think when I tell you, you're going to go, oh, it's just so logical.
Mary?
Well, right, because we see, right, you see that there is Matthew's lineage, but actually the biological DNA of the humanity of Jesus didn't come from Joseph.
So Mary.
Who did it come from?
Mary.
Yeah, it came through Mary, right? And it doesn't come through Solomon. We're always leaning towards Solomon, right? He's the great king that followed David. It goes to his other son, Nathan. And there's the lineage right there, and we come through Mary. Isn't that neat? So if you look here, see through Joseph's line, we see the legal right, and there's a legal right there that comes through David, but the actual physical right comes Adam, Abraham, David. It comes through Heli, which is Mary's father, and through Mary. So that's how God bypassed. And again, that is a twist. And if you're not familiar with the lineage, most of us don't read the lineage. We skip over it, right? There's the lineage, and the Lord gives us a very clear twist to the story. So while the demons are celebrating with the curse of Jeconiah, God has a plan, and He always does. He always has a plan to bypass what is going on there. Now I want to show you another. I'll show you another interesting one. This is Shiloh. Remember we were studying Shiloh in Genesis chapter 49. So Shiloh is a name that the Jewish people came to realize was Messiah, the Christ, the Redeemer, the Meshach. And in Genesis chapter 49:10, it says, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be." Now, scepter, and let me give you a picture here of the scepter. It's a term that refers to, essentially, it's about a tribal identity. And it's interesting about the tribal identity of Israel, even in the time of Judges, when chaos, right? Everybody did what they saw fit in their own eyes. And I've taught you this before. The tribal identity and the division of the land is very clear. Remember we had gone through that a few months ago? It's very clear. They never lost their tribal identity. And the term here is the scepter, essentially that identity. And again, it's about authority. The scepter is about authority. It's a king. The king carries a scepter. And the Messiah would carry this scepter, and that scepter would be passed on from generation to generation, right up until the time the Messiah comes. And if the scepter is not being passed on, we have a problem. Even during the Babylonian captivity, again, you have that strong tribal identity. So again, you have Shiloh, the Messiah, the Christ, the Redeemer, again understood to be God's chosen Meshach, the Meshach Negid, who's going to come. Now, again, I'll bring you back. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. That scepter will be there in Judah. Now, I'm not going to go through all the detail here, but through a number of circumstances with Rome conquering Greece and the Romans then occupying Israel, you have an interesting thing that happened where the Romans basically took the authority